am your Joshua Dysart. I'm here with Joshua Dysart. How are you doing today, good sir?
I'm good, man. I'm amazing. This show just started. I'm like not even exhausted yet.
Not yet, but it's gonna happen. I see you have your Starbucks on the side. He has an amazing lunch that you will not get to witness him eat.
No, I haven't got. I'm putting it aside for you.
I know, just for us.
Sitting there, cooling.
There was actually a joke. I was saying like I need to use the restroom before this interview, and of course
I talk so much.
No. But our co-host is like, "There's a trash can." I'm like, "I'm just gonna go in the trash can and look at him." I'm sorry.
Nice. In my trash can.
In your that particular trash can, the one right there that you guys can't see.
One of the few guests of the show who would not mind if he urinated in the trash can. One of the very few, I think.
He's doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, man.
He's dedicated to the interview. He's sitting right there waiting.
That's right. Don't you leave me.
Don't you dare walk away. Don't you dare.
Don't you leave me.
Of course, let's go ahead. Let's address what have you worked on in the past, man? If you guys are familiar with his amazing run on Valiant.
Yeah. What was the question?
What have you worked on in the past?
Okay, so I started on a book called Violent Messiahs many years ago, back in the 90s, and I've grown considerably since then. But I worked at Vertigo, I worked at Dark Horse, I did some Hellboy stuff with Mike Mignola, some BPRD stuff. I did a book called Unknown Soldier in 2007, which took place in East Africa, northern Uganda, southern Sudan, and I actually traveled with child soldiers for a month to research that book and interviewed other people in the region involved in the conflict there. And then I've been at Valiant. That's what we call them. I've been at Valiant since I guess 2011 or something, doing comics there. So that's been really fun. Harbinger and Imperium.
You have a huge following as a writer.
Awesome.
I can't.
Is that true?
No, that is 110% true. Every time it's like, oh, like, you guys read Valiant Comics, they're like, Dysart's over there, right? And I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh my god, and they get so excited. So I'm totally excited for everything that you've been writing. Now, in the past, you wrote Harbinger, and you were in charge of Harbinger War. Am I
yes,
correct?
yeah. That's pretty much how it went down.
If we can, let's go ahead. Let's recap that for the people that haven't read it. Just in a brief, elevator pitch, if you will. What happened in Harbinger?
So, basically, Dwayne Straczynski at that time had started writing Bloodshot. He was like the first one to bring Bloodshot back, and Bloodshot is this nanite soldier who's gone against the people who created him. That's the kind of elevator pitch.
Which we're getting the movie of that, and it's going to be directed by the director of John Wick. So
exactly. It should be really awesome.
I'm excited.
And then those guys do action really well, like really readable, good action. And then our book Harbinger was about a bunch of like kind of psyop-powered kids, a little bit of a riff on the X-Men, but trying to update it. And we had this natural that we started working on from the very beginning, this natural progression where the two would meet. They were all involved in fighting the same organizations, the same people. And so Harbinger Wars was really the first. We had just started at Valiant, rebuilding the property and reintroducing the characters. And after about a year, I think, not quite a year, we were able to create our first crossover, which was something we'd been building from the start. So, and our first crossover has to do with a bunch of escaped, young, superpowered child soldiers, basically, who get out and raise hell, and all these different groups are trying to acquire them and co-opt them, and it all goes down in Vegas. And they blow up the Bellagio.
Of course. Awesome. Well, why wouldn't you do that when you go to Vegas?
Blow up the Bellagio. That's what I do that.
Or blow up the Bellagio toilet. One or the other, it is what it is.
I mean, the food in Vegas.
So that all-you-can-eat buffet, it's like $10.99.
Like
can't go wrong.
Plunger in your ass. Can I say that?
You can.
Can you do that?
Oh yeah, by all means.
Can you say the word plunger?
That's what was bad about it.
Yeah.
Plunger. Valiant has had so many different events since then. Recently, we've had Divinity, Dead Drop, Book of Death. We're eventually going to lead into, is it 4001 AD?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Coming, yes.
We'll address that at the end. But right now, you're working on Imperium.
Yes. So then, Harbinger, when we finished Harbinger at issue 25, we decided it sort of ended with the villain being outed. The villain was this dark, unseen hand of history since World War II, and our young, plunky superhero kids, they sort of exposed him to the world and showed him to be the largest robber baron in human history. And so instead of being defeated, our villain kind of doubled down and said, okay, that's it, I'm taking over the world. And so then we flipped the perspective from the heroes to the villain, and the new book Imperium is exactly how one tries to take over the world. And I really wanted to take all the supervillain tropes that have been rolling around in comics since the kind of superhero genre ever started, and I wanted to update them and refresh them. So we have like a supervillain team, and on paper they look very much like a standard tropey supervillain team, but we really play them, I think, in new and interesting ways. And and I got really interested in the minutia, like what does it really mean to take over the world? Like what a mammoth task. Like I don't care how much power you have, what does that mean to dominate economic markets and change politics and all this stuff? So the book Imperium is very much about that, with robots and aliens. Shit blows up.
Out of sheer curiosity, it was actually said recently by Stan Lee that Dr. Doom is actually not a bad guy. He just wants to take over the world.
Right.
So do you feel like, are you really writing a bad guy when someone wants to take over the world? Or is it just someone that feels that they have a better idea and they really want this to be implemented?
Yes, well, that's an interesting discussion because the latter is absolutely true, but is the former true at the same time? Like, does that make you a bad person if you're so dead set that your idea is the best idea for the future, that you are willing to essentially eliminate the democratic principle and take everything over, so that it really is the benevolent dictator versus democracy, and that's what we're working with here as an idea. So is Harada a bad person? I don't know. He does really bad things, but he also does really profoundly good things. And so I hope that the reader has to ask themselves, would I be happier living with a dictator who made sure that all the trains ran on time, to use like a Mussolini reference, and made sure that society was like good and there was equality, no racial or economic inequality, where everyone got to pursue their dreams? Like, is that a better world if it's at the cost of democracy? Because democracy is messy, and look what our country's in. I mean, we're in a really big moment where we're like questioning if democracy even works. So that's sort of what we're hoping to deal with in Imperium, while still being like this weird hybrid of cool, weird superhero, supervillain stuff. Yeah.
Because right now it seems like we're focusing on Livewire, if I'm not mistaken.
The current arc, yes.
Now, the thing with Livewire is she's really in touch with technology and able to weave in and out of it. How was it taking that on? Did you have to make sure that you were up to date with technology, or was it just like, you know what, this is my feeling towards this character, and you just ran with it?
I've been pretty obsessed with technology all of my life, and I'm the generation born before the internet. I saw the internet come about. I've witnessed how it's changed culture. So I like to think that I'm kind of on top of it, and I haven't had to work too hard. Like, Livewire is a bit of a gift. I mean, actually, I turned her into what she was in Harbinger, so it's a gift that I made for myself. But nonetheless, she's a bit of a gift in that she really allows me to discuss particularly secrecy and privacy, because there's no secrets around her. She can decode anything, de-encrypt.
Which was interesting to read, because I was like, he seems like he knows what he's talking about, because this is completely over my head.
Yeah, nice. Well, hopefully we use just enough language for you to feel like you're like a part of something bigger, but not so much you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of the hope. But so I think that it's not so much that I had to like research and buckle down on it, as I finally had a character that was going to allow me to talk about things I'm really interested in.
What can we expect in this story arc that has just started?
Well, this story arc's interesting, as each story arc sort of explores Harada's philosophy and the role, for better or for worse, of his institution, the Imperium institution. And so with this arc, we explore the relationship he has with people who once believed in his idea and have now gone against him. Because Livewire is a character who started off under his tutelage, very much kind of a daughter-father situation, and then turned against him. And so philosophically, we get to explore the idea of further pursuing this concept of, like, I'm not sure that what you're doing is right, and confronting him. action-wise, we get to deal with a lot of really cool stuff. Like the whole thing is, for me, it probably, unless I say it, you won't notice, but it's very much inspired by Shaw Brothers Kung Fu films. So the whole thing is, it moves really fast. I really see a connection between those old Shaw Brothers Kung Fu films and in superhero comics. Yeah. Because it's always like a bunch of dudes, everyone has like a superpower, like one guy has golden arms, and one dude is, and they're always fighting over a temple or a gold caravan. In this instance, we're fighting over a convoy of resources that Harada's trying to acquire. So it moves really fast. So there's some philosophy, but I think less than any other Imperium story arc so far, this is really an action-driven book.
Yeah. How far have you actually planned as a writer for Imperium?
To the end.
Really? Mm-hmm. So you have the contingency plan just in case something was to happen.
Yes, I did. I always have that. There's always like the quick exit, like the trapdoor exit, or like
which you never want, but it's there.
Yeah, and I've always had to use it. You never want it, but you always have to use it. But actually, with Imperium, it looks like we've already talked about it with the publisher. It looks like we're gonna see it to fruition. So yeah, so no longer the contingency plan. Now the actual intention is going to go through all the way to the end for the first time in my career.
Nice. So from here, obviously, Imperium's going to hit all the way up to 4001 AD. Can we go ahead and address what you're going to be working on for 4001 AD?
I am not working on 4001.
Nothing at all?
No, I'm not working.
We're not even going to have like a side book where it's like we're going to address it?
No.
Wasn't that convenient for you? You don't have to. They don't have to be like, hey man, you got to write this side story. You're like, but I'm on a good chat. No, you got to write this side story. So no way, shape, or form it's going to affect the ongoing.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. Well, I am, other than like doing what I need to do to wrap up Imperium, I am going to take a few months out of the end of the year to take a little break from Valiant, and then I'll be back. So that's why everybody's working on that, and I'm not involved. Is because I kind of like decided I needed to take a few months, do some personal work, some stuff that I wanted to get out of my system that I haven't been able to get to, and then I'll go back. To Valiant. But I do want. This is the first time I've ever said that I'm taking this break publicly, so I do want to say exclusive.
There you go.
But I do want to say that this break is solely personally driven, and that Valiant has been utterly amazing to me. And never once, if you don't see a Valiant book with my name on it, it's not because Valiant didn't offer me a book. Yeah, it's because I said, oh no, I need to take a little break. So I want that to be out there. You know? I do feel like Valiant is my family, and sometimes you need a break from family.
So we actually have something that's coming up in the near future with you, a project that you've been working on that's going to be coming out. You mentioned it before the interview.
Yeah, it's out now.
It's out now.
It's all out now. So in 2014, I went to northern Iraq, to Kurdistan, and I traveled with the World Food Program convoy that went from Erbil around all the way, well, actually into Turkey, and then all the way to the Syrian border, and then back around, kind of skirting Daesh or ISIS or whatever you want to call them.
I'm glad you're still here.
Yeah,
I'm really glad you're still here.
Me too.
That's scary beyond belief.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be in the World Food Program security bubble, which is the United Nations security bubble. So that's really nice, and that helps you get away with that kind of thing. And then I did and then all last year I was working on a comic book about the stories from the refugees that I spoke to, and also from the World Food Program's point of view, because it's an extraordinary organization on the ground in these war zones. And that is now up online for free. You can read it. It's called Living Level 3 Iraq. And my name's Josh Dysart, Dysart, and it's at Huffington Post World. And there's 4 chapters. Each chapter is about 6 to 10 pages. You can read the whole thing, in like 30 minutes or less. So everybody go read it. It's free.
You have 30 minutes. Go ahead and
Dude,
go do
open a window. You're probably watching this on the internet.
Exactly.
Open a window.
A new tab. Go ahead. Right now. We'll wait.
Yeah,
there you
exactly.
go. Thank you so much. Yeah. We're glad you went and you read that. Of course, last but not least, where can we find you on the interweb?
I am at joshuadysart.com, which rarely updated, but nonetheless, it exists.
It exists.
You can find me on Facebook, Old Man's Medium. You can find me on Twitter. I also have an Instagram account that is rarely updated, but also exists.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks.